If you took a ride through Burlington in 1900, you'd pass farm after farm after farm until you came to this spot. Do you recognize it? How about now? Okay, how about now? This was Burlington's biggest company and only real industry before Route 128 came through town in the early 1950s and brought the high-tech industry with it. The company was Reed Ham Works. Pigs went in one end, and then ham and bacon eventually came out the other end. Yes, the whole neighborhood smelled delicious. The company began with Isaiah Reed, who lived in this house at 336 Cambridge Street. It's now being turned into condos. And he went to school at the corner of Wilmington Road and Chestnut Avenue. That building is still there, but it's heavily disguised. Around 1846, he experimented with smoking hams and bacon inside a little shack on his property. The product turned out so good, people from miles around returned for more ham. Soon he was selling about 5,000 hams a year. His son, Thomas Isaiah, known as T.I., ramped up the business even more. By the time it passed through two more generations, it was one of the largest producers of smoked meats in Massachusetts and had customers far and wide, including a college in Istanbul, Turkey. It also had small, local customers like Manor Spa in Lexington. Here's one of the customers there. It's Ann B. Davis, also known as Alice from the Brady Bunch. The 1-2 punch of the Great Depression and then World War II left the company hobbling. Here are some customers waiting in line for bacon in 1945. Obviously, there was no problem with demand, but you could only buy what your wartime ration stamps allowed you to buy. That was the first problem. The second problem was that pigs were suddenly hard to come by. They were slaughtered at the farms and then quickly processed into ham elsewhere and sent overseas to the troops. But the real death blow came with the advent of mass production. The meat curing process used by the Reeds was very slow and very old school. In this case, old school means it dated back to before Christ. When the pace of life was a bit slower. The meat was delicious, but the process was inefficient and drove up the price. And so Reed was pushed out of the market by assembly line hams. After the Reed Hamworks years, the property was home to many memorable businesses and one memorable fire. It's now becoming the regional offices for the State Department of Children and Families, formerly known as DSS, or the Department of Social Services.
When the business ultimately folded, my dad went off into other ventures. But I always remember, because it was part of our life, where he had ham every Easter. And over the years after the business had closed, he was constantly experimenting when he bought ham from different locations and tried to make them taste like what we used to get, and he could never do it. It just, the method of processing it in mass production did not take into consideration the quality of the material that was produced by the old tried and true methods of smoking and the timing and factors involved with it. So it's just one of those things that goes on in history. And you hope that someday some product would come back that would taste as good as what you were making, but it usually doesn't.